2025 is here, so let's talk about all the big JRPGs releasing this year. And if you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, this isn't Taylor, you're right. Currently, he sounds like this. I'm Jack, and I'm kindly filling in for him. You're welcome. Now, let's start with a game that's already out by the time you're listening to this, and that's I&II's Memoire, The Oath in Felghana. This game was originally released in 2010 for the PSP, but we're finally getting a nice high-definition remaster. This version of the game comes with a lot of new features, including some cool new character portraits, 3 different choices of OST, and a new additional voiceover with Adol. This is the first game that Taylor ever reviewed for Blistered Thumbs, and it's a really fun hack-and-slash RPG. It's a fairly short game, around 11 hours, and sure to please any I&II's fan. The next game on this list is releasing on January 10th, and it's Freedom Wars Remastered. This one was a Vita release originally in 2014, and it's a hunting mission style game. This one got a really nice makeover with some new textures, upgrade to 4K support, 60 FPS, and some added difficulty settings and some overhauled crafting systems. One of the coolest things about this game is the combat system. You have access to guns and melee weapons, but you also have a grappling whip to let you move around the arena very smooth and seamlessly. So you get a lot of horizontal and vertical movement by latching on to the different enemies, and it's a ton of fun to play with. The next game on our list is releasing January 17th, and that's Tales of Graces F Remastered. This one was originally released on the Wii and later on the PS3, but it's a really fun, classic game. It's one of Taylor's personal favorites to play, and this version has a lot of the cool new enhancements that we've come to expect in the newer remasters, like a faster dash, an enemy encounter toggle, skippable cutscenes, auto saves, and all of that stuff, including all of the previous DLC for this game. So this is a highly recommended pickup when it lands soon. Our next game on the list is Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero, releasing on January 30th. Now, if you played the original Phantom Brave back in 2004, you've been waiting a long time for this sequel. But for those of you who haven't, this actually looks a lot like Disgaea to me. So if you enjoy those games, this is probably right up your alley. Instead of collecting characters though, one of the coolest things about this game is it lets you possess objects around the map, like trees, rocks, or even cannons to join your team. You can take those things that you possess and use them to move around with completely free movement on a gridless map during combat. You can pick up and throw your enemies, you can possess your teammates, and a whole lot more, plus it's pirate themed. This game just looks like a lot of good, silly fun. Next up on our list is The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2. This is the next entry in what is my personal favorite running JRPG series. One of the cool new additions in this is the split chapters, where you can play as different characters and choose who to play as to develop the story more. For the fans of the series, myself included, this is absolutely a must play. Speaking of must plays, our next one is Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. We get the Mad Dog of Shimano, Goro Majima himself, who loses his memories in this total spin-off from Infinite Wealth, and he comes back to lead a pirate crew in Hawaii to discover lost treasure. Now, if that sounds wild and fun to you, it does to me too. I can't wait for this. This entry into the Yakuza series returns to the original combat style, that beat-em-up action style, instead of the turn-based system they introduced in Like a Dragon. As Majima, you will control your own pirate ship where you can create your own crew, including Ichiban and some of the other characters from the turn-based games, but you can upgrade your ships, you can fight other ships, there's a lot of real-time stuff, including boarding enemy ships, and there are always the tons of fan-favorite minigames like karaoke and all of the attendant craziness that a Yakuza game promises. So I can't wait for this one. Next, speaking of waiting, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. Oh man, have we been waiting for this one for a long time. So many delays, and it's finally coming out. I can't wait for this one personally because the Suikoden and Suikoden 2 games were some of my original RPGs that I played back on the PS1, and I can't wait to see what they do with the updated visuals, including giving the updated effects, the backgrounds, the new character illustrations, and of course those same quality of life features that we've come to expect, like the autosaves, like the sped up battles, like the conversation log in case you accidentally click through something. These are two of the absolute best classic RPGs of all time, and honestly, I personally recommend these to anybody who hasn't played them yet, and hopefully to those who have as well, because I'm definitely picking this one up. Our next game on the list is Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. This was one of the few games that was still stuck on the Wii U where nobody could really get to it unless you had a Wii U sitting around. So they're finally porting it over to the Switch for us. This is going to help to flesh out even more of the story in the world for Xenoblade Chronicles, and it has some updated visuals, including, thank God, a facelift to make them look a little bit better, and some added story content. Like all the Xenoblade Chronicle games, this is going to have some great exploration and a ton of fun combat. You have the big massive open world to explore, and you have the skills that you can use to fly around and see what all the game has to offer. The original was a really great game with some flaws, and I'm curious to see how they've updated parts of it, especially on the gameplay front. Next up is a Jack specialty, Atelier. This one is Atelier Yumia, the alchemist of memories and the envisioned land, and this one is a new entry into the series. They have finished the Ryza arc, and now they're starting with a new protagonist. But fortunately, they have clearly understood what made Ryza so popular, and they are using a lot of very similar assets, one might say. The visuals look great in this game. There's a ton of exploring, gathering, and crafting like in any Atelier game. And the combat system is using an evolution of what worked so well in Ryza 3, where it's semi-real-time, kind of like a real-time running ATB system where you can move around and then issue commands whenever they're ready. As always, you have a lot of exploration, you have a lot of base building, and it's clear that this game has a much bigger budget than the previous Atelier games. Speaking of previous Atelier games, as an added bonus, you're also getting another Atelier game later this year in the form of Atelier Resleriana, the Red Alchemist, and the White Guard. Now, this is not last year's gacha mobile-only disaster of a game that was released, but it's set in the same universe with the same protagonist. However, this one is promised to be an offline-only single-player game, so we're really hoping that they're able to turn that around and make that a great entry in the series. Next up on the list is the 100-line Last Defense Academy. The concept behind it is that you need to defend your school for 100 days. It has a mixture of a strategy RPG and Persona because you're going to spend some time deepening your bonds with your characters, exploring and crafting items as gifts to give them, but you also have to protect your school whenever it gets attacked. So you'll need to defend it, and each student has their own unique abilities. This game looks really cool, and it looks like they're really updating the formula, but they're also using what has always worked time and time again for them. So I can't wait to see what this one does. Next up is Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. And this game looks cozy AF. The game is designed so that you are building a city, or rebuilding a city, as it says, but it looks and feels a lot like Animal Crossing in that regard. However, you have the ability to travel through time. You can take on new lives, they call them, which are basically jobs to work as a blacksmith or a lumberjack, or adventuring jobs like a paladin or a sorcerer or something like that. And this game really seems very cool. It looks like a lot of fun. This has been in the oven for a while, and I really enjoyed the original, so I can't wait to see what they do with this and how it turns out this April. The next game on our list is Ananta. It's described as a rule-breaking urban open-world RPG, and to be honest, it looks absolutely wild. It looks like somebody took Genshin Impact and GTA and Spider-Man and threw them all into a blender and just spun it up to see what you would get. Looking at the trailers, it's really hard to tell what's a cutscene and what's actual gameplay because of how pretty the game looks. graphics. The combat also looks sick. The movement, the minigames, the driving, and the fighting, the action combat style all look great. Now, we don't really know what to expect from it yet, but if it delivers, this could be amazing, maybe even one of the best free-to-play games to give Genshin a run for its money. Our next game is probably the most anticipated JRPG on this list, and it's Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This is a game from a brand new French studio, Sandfall Interactive, and with a relatively small team of 30, we aren't entirely sure what to expect, but the trailer looks incredible. The story behind it sounds wild. There's a painter with godlike powers that can kill everyone of a certain age that she paints, and it is the expedition's job to stop her before she's able to finish her spell or her painting. The cast seems pretty star-studded. The game looks incredible, and I can't wait to find out more about this, including a release date. Next on our list is the Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake. For those of you who played the Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, you pretty much already know what to expect from this in terms of style and tone. We really don't know a whole lot about this game so far, other than that it's coming this year, and it seems like they're packaging the games together. They are two relatively short games, so it would make sense for them to do this. And I can't wait to give these two a try because I actually, admission, never had a chance to play them before. So I'm personally looking forward to it. Next on our list is Eden's Zero. This one is a game based on a space fantasy anime and manga, and it's being internally developed by Konami, which sounds like not something you would hear in 2025. I'm not entirely sure what to expect from it, but it is an action RPG and it does look really cool. It seems that you're able to control various different characters, you're able to explore a lot of different planets, and right now we can't tell if this is an original story separate from the anime and manga, or if it's something based on it, a spin-off, or maybe just a repeat of what you've seen before. No matter how we cut it, the game actually just looks really cool, and even though we haven't seen much, I can't wait to see more. Next on our list is Fate Extra Record. This is a game that's been cooking for a while. It was revealed 4 years ago and then basically went completely silent. This one is actually a remake of the first Fate series RPG back from 2010 on the PSP. It has completely revamped visuals, an expanded scenario, updated turn-based deck building combat system, and a whole lot more. Now, I'm personally not very familiar with the Fate series, but this actually looks really, really cool, and I can't wait to play it and try. Maybe I'll become a new fan of the series. Next up is Lost Hellden. This game looks gorgeous, and that's because all of the assets in the game, including the backgrounds, are actually hand painted. So the art direction itself is very fresh and really draws you in from first glance. Even though this game looks exciting though, I'm remaining cautiously optimistic because the developers, Artisan Studios, are the same ones who put out Super Neptunia RPG and Astria Ascending, a game that I wanted to love but ended up just being really meh. It's guided by the 7 deadly sins, and the story looks interesting for sure. The combat seems like a unique mix of turn-based and action combat as well. So I'm really excited to find out more about this one when we can. And honestly, I hope this one pans out because it looks great and I would love to see a win for this studio. Our next game is the Lunar Remastered Collection. This one is something that Taylor is super excited for because these games have never been ported to modern consoles since the PS1 releases so long ago. These are two classic JRPGs in the Lunar Silver Star story and the follow-up sequel. They're both packed together in this collection, and these are actually the games that are responsible for a lot of the JRPG tropes that you see in modern games. This is a remaster, so we're getting the enhanced graphics, the enhanced audio, and some of the quality of life improvements that we've come to expect from modern remasters. This one is very easy to recommend if you've never had a chance to play these games or if you're just really into retro RPGs. The next game on our list is called Neverness to Everness, and oh man, this game just oozes style. To me, it looks very similar to like a Persona 5 style meets Zenless Zone Zero, and it looks incredible. Similar to Ananta, this is another urban open world action RPG and is also going to be free to play. This one includes a ton of things like driving, subways, decorating your apartment, all in addition to the regular combat, like random ghostly anomalies, world events, and some very, very cool stylized action combat that to me looks similar to Zenless Zone Zero, but with extra unique abilities like gravity manipulation. This is definitely a game that is going to be a ton of fun to play. It looks great, and honestly, I can see myself losing a lot of my life to this game and what it has to offer. Can't wait to find out more about it. The next game we have is Pokémon Legends ZA. This one we don't really know very much about so far, only that it's been announced for 2025. We know that it's the next game in the Legends sub-series based on the world of X and Y, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of information. We do know that the evolutions are going to include some mega evolutions, but we have only gotten a visual trailer so far, so a lot of this is also still guesswork until we find out more from the developers. Our next game is Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. This one is a totally bold spin-off from the Rune Factory series. And honestly, I haven't been a huge fan of Rune Factory up till now, but watching the trailer for this one, this might actually be the one that pulls me into it. The style of it looks great. It has the same crafting and building mechanics that a lot of the Rune Factory games are known for, but also the action combat, the social parts of it, and the romance aspects of it look very, very cool. It seems to have dual protagonists, and they look like a very interesting pair to put together. So I'm very curious to find out more about this game as it comes closer to the release date. And now for the last game on our list, and the one that I'm most excited for, Trails in the Sky First Chapter Remake. I can't tell you how excited I am for this. I love the Trails series, and Trails in the Sky is very near and dear to my heart. I can't wait to see what they do with this. It's a complete ground up remake. Instead of simply doing a pixel remaster or something like that, they're turning this into a completely new style of game, similar to what Trials of Mana did back in 2020. And it's getting a massive visual upgrade. It has seamless transitions from towns to fields, and it looks like it's using the Daybreak combat system, which you already know is amazing. I can't wait to find out more about this game, especially the release date, so I know when to block out my calendar. Now, these are the most exciting JRPGs releasing in 2025, but to hear about the best JRPGs from 2024 that you need to play, watch this video next.